Hello, my name is Kevin Wing, and today we'll be discussing an article that is talking about how difficult it is to manage a local government. The article talks about how the government wants to fix a problem without asking the citizens of the community on how to fix the problem. So the citizens of the community would complain about an issue they have in their community, and the government will listen to them, and then they will take it on their own to try to fix the problem. And that's not what the citizens want. The citizens are not engaged with the government to fix a problem. The government is just doing what they think will make a solution, and in turn, it would just react it to it'll just have a bad reaction. And the citizens don't feel like they're part of a community, and if they don't feel like they're part of the community, then they're not willing to help out the government. They're not willing to help out their fellow citizens, and thus will result in big crimes or just doing something just for themselves. They're not looking out for one another. The author talks about being part of a community, and being part of a community is looking out for one another, reporting crimes when it happens, and willing to come forth with law enforcement there to help out when there's a crime. But the problem is that the government doesn't allow the citizen to be feeling like they're part of the community because, like I stated earlier, if there's a problem, the government will just try to fix it themselves. They won't talk to the citizens about what is the best option for them to fix it. They won't talk together, grit out the nasty detail, and just talk it out and come up with the best solution. The government will just think what is the best solution for them and for the citizens, rather than this is the citizen will come forward and be like, this is the best solution for us, and the government, okay, we can do this, and just talking it out and trying to fix the problem itself. So the author mentions two models. One of the models is what the government is using now, which, as you can see, is the MFIX problem. So basically, it's what I've been talking about. We complain about something, and then the government will take it in their own action to fix it. While the other model is where the government engages with the citizens. They talk, they figure out what is the best solution, what the citizens think is the best solution, and then what the government thinks is the best solution, and then they come to a middle ground. By doing this, we create a community. We create the citizen wanting to help the government or wanting to feel like they're part of the government, part of the area. And that is what this author is trying to get across. That if you make a person feel like they're part of a community, then they will be more likely to help one another out, help the local law enforcement, and just be helpful in general towards the community. Let's take a look at Ferguson, Missouri. Ferguson, Missouri is where the black African male was shot by a police officer. The African male was Michael Brown, and he was unarmed at the time of the shooting. The people thought the shooting was unright and unfair, and that the police officers were gunning for the black Africans, and so resulted in a citywide riot. Eventually, the riot was stopped, and the people stopped protesting, but that was after the National Guards were called in. Former police chief Thomas Jackson was in charge during the time of the shooting. He was in charge when the riot happened, and he was in charge before the riot and the shooting happened. He knew that the tensions were high between the black African American of the city and the police officer. He also knew that police officers were targeting African American as a source of revenue, because if you charge someone a crime, then they have to pay the fee for the crime, like, traffic tickets. You have to pay $500 for traffic ticket and stuff like that. And so officers were targeting African Americans to pay the fee, and so tensions were high. He is in charge of the entire police force. He implements training and how training should be. And so there's a thing called community policing. Community policing is where a police officer tries to build a bond with the community and try them to like the police force, try them to work and cooperate with the police force, and rather not see them as the enemy. At any point in time, he could have implemented. He knew that the tensions were high, but he still chose not to implement the forces. So after the riot and after the shooting, he resigned, and then riots happened again after he resigned because he knew that this was going on, and yet he did nothing to stop it. On everything that was just said about working as a team, Police Chief Thomas Jackson did not work as a team with the community of Ferguson, with the people of Ferguson as a community. he let his police officer do what they want, and as a result, the community lashed out, which resulted in the riots. The author of this article wants the government to talk to the community, wants to build a community, but that can only work if the government wants to talk to them. And unfortunately for this, they did not, and which is why it resulted in a widespread riot. Overall, I agree with the article because I think it's time that the government work with the community and with the people to come up with a solution. This is why community policing is now implemented in the police force. Community policing is where the police officers actually connect with the people, talk to them, know them by name, know who they are, know about their problem, and try to help out in that way rather than just enforcing the law. Say if like a kid is starving, oh, here's the candy, oh, hey, I need a ride to work, or like his car broke down, stop and help out. That is what community policing is about, doing the small things rather than just enforcing the law. That is building a bond with the government. By doing these things and by the government talking to the people, we can create that community that this author wants. And that is why I agree with it. How this article affects my classmate and my generation is that we grew up in a different time than our parents. They grew up in a time where white people were dominant, and now it's where mixed race and white people along are dominant. We're a group, we're a team now. It's not no longer one race in power, it's multiple races in power. And I think we need to take a different approach in how we handle problems. And I think this article can help towards that by working as a team with the government and its community. How this article affects me is I think it will affect me more professionally than personally because I plan on being a police officer. In recent news, police officers have been under fire for police brutality and mishandling the suspect. And I think this article would show that actually engaging with the community and being part of the community could result in less of that happening because then the community or the citizens would trust the police officer to do the right thing. Right now, no one trusts the police officer. Well, a good fraction of the minority do not trust the police officer, and I think that needs to change, and it will be up to me to put myself into the situation where I am communicating with the citizens and building that bond between government and citizen so we can form a community together while there's just not a community of citizens and then a community of government. Together we'll be one community.